Tee.
Once upon a time, there were two orphans who lived alone. The girl was named Della, and she was the closest thing to a mother that her brother Christopher had ever known. One morning, like almost every morning, Della awoke to find Christopher already up, his face buried in a large book.
That had better be some serious studying, mister.
Della teased, knowing full well it was not.
When my education consists of something useful,
Christopher grumbled.
I might consider doing the work. I'm going to build robots one day, even if I must teach myself how to do it.
First you have to finish the 5th grade.
Della said.
Now out you go. You'll miss the bell.
Nobody respects my genius.
Christopher sulked as he trudged towards school.
And I'm always taking orders from a girl. I'm the man of the house. Why should I have to do...
He was interrupted by an explosion and a shower of glass that littered the ground around his feet. Christopher looked up at a big yellow house and saw a broken window and a very unusual girl peeking out of it. Her skin was a beautiful sky blue. That morning, the blue girl, whose name was Theo, awoke the way she always did, lonely. Passing a mirror, she saw her reflection and terrified herself. Her scream, a shrill whistle, just barely in the range of human hearing, vibrated the window and broke it from its frame. Frustrated, she looked out at the damage. From downstairs came a yell.
Not again! Get down here, you junk heap!
Theo found Dr. Coppelius in the back parlor, obviously in a foul mood. The scientist positioned her in front of him. He produced a flat-headed screwdriver and pressed the tip into her sapphire flesh. There was a pop as a latch released and a panel door swung open.
It's got to be something with the memory module,
Coppelius muttered to himself. Theo shivered at his touch.
Every time I see myself, I'm frightened, Father. Am I a monster?
I heard this yesterday and every day since I stupidly brought you into this world.
Coppelius exhaled.
You know what you are. When will you decide to act like a ballerina and stop being an emotional mess? I've tried tweaking your audio output levels. Why can't you be miserable quietly?
I'm lonely, Father.
The doctor ignored her and continued his adjustments. Just outside the window, Christopher stepped back and gasped.
She's a robot!
Later, in his laboratory, Coppelius decided to build an improved model.
I made her to be seen, a silent object of beauty, and instead, her complaints, her insecurities, her opinions.
He trailed off. It was late afternoon now. She would be in the studio, executing bar exercises in her mechanical, graceless fashion.
No more whiny, needy girls. My new creation will be perfect. Not just a teacher, a philosopher. If only it wasn't so difficult to acquire that one component.
Moonlight made the inventor's property seem much more sinister, Christopher thought as he checked for unlocked windows. Under normal circumstances, he would never enter a stranger's home uninvited, but the mystery of the blue girl was too much temptation. And so Christopher found himself leaving Della a brief note before sneaking through the night to the doctor's house and carefully finding a way inside. No sooner was he through the window than he was face to face with her. He smiled openly and she beamed back at him.
I'm Christopher. I couldn't stop thinking about you. Who are you?
I'm called Theo. Are you my friend?
Something rubbed against Christopher's leg, distracting him. It was a cat. No, not quite a cat.
Your pet. It's a robot too?
Theo blinked.
This is Behemoth. He doesn't speak, though, or not more than the one word.
Meow.
Behemoth explained.
Remarkable.
Christopher whispered.
Of course I want to be your friend. Do you play chess? No one can beat me at school.
I don't know how.
Theo said, dejected.
The doctor says chess is too complicated for girls. He says I was designed only for classical ballet.
Then, could you teach me to dance?
Christopher reached for her, and Theo walked him through some steps. Soon they were waltzing around the room.
Excellent!
Coppelius strode into the room.
A bit more plebeian than ballet, but to see her interacting independently with a human.
Christopher rushed excitedly to greet him.
Are you the inventor?
I am indeed the great Coppelius,
the doctor said, without the slightest humility.
Great doesn't even begin to describe it.
Christopher gushed. He pointed at Theo.
This biped, it moves so gracefully.
Theo looked away as Behemoth nuzzled Christopher's cheek.
And this feline model, it's like it actually craves attention.
It's a simple affection algorithm. These are just prototypes. Would you like to see what I'm working on now?
The doctor knew the answer to his question when Christopher's eyes lit up.
Come down to the lab.
Coppelius invited Christopher with a sinister smile.
Did I hear you say you were undefeated in chess?
Downstairs, Christopher wondered at the mysterious machinery and watched as the calculating old man rushed about the room, turning dials and checking gauges. In a chair sat a silent red figure.
This,
proclaimed Coppelius,
will be Robert Mephisto, my greatest creation.
Christopher extended a hand.
A pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Robert did not respond. Coppelius laughed.
Silly boy, his intelligence centers have not yet been activated.
He affixed a large metallic helmet to Mephisto's head.
Yes, of course.
Christopher was embarrassed.
I knew that.
If you'd like to interface with him, you can put on that input module.
Coppelius motioned towards an identical helmet. The helmets were connected to a mass of wires, meeting in the middle at a large contraption covered with instrumentation.
Seriously? Of course.
Securing the helmet to his head, Christopher had just enough time to ask,
Should it be tingling like this?
Before everything went black. Returning from work, Della expected to find Christopher plowing through mechanical journals. Instead, there was a note on the table.
My dearest sister,
it read.
Today, I have made a miraculous discovery. I must investigate further. Should I fail to return within the week, please bring my notebooks and a change of clothes to that yellow house down the street with the broken upstairs window. I'll doubtlessly be preoccupied digitizing human-like speech.
Della dropped the note and left the house quickly. Theo kicked an errant chess piece across the floor.
For the last time, I do not want to play your games.
Mephisto had been hastily introduced to her by Father, who had recommended chess lessons as the beginning of their friendship. It was not working. Mephisto knelt upon the floor now, retrieving the scattered pieces.
Come, my darling.
He implored.
You'll pick it up in no time.
I want to know where Christopher went. Don't you dare set that game up again.
The board was ready for play.
Would you like me to teach you to play chess?
He asked, as though he never had before. Theo executed a perfect grand battement and set the pieces flying. Della carefully slid the window closed inside the yellow house. She didn't know what sort of miraculous discovery Christopher had happened upon, but if he had suspected that he might come to harm...
Is there something wrong with my door?
A pleasant voice called. Della turned the corner and saw an elderly man standing there.
Well, that's 2 visitors through that one window this evening. I should get a welcome mat.
I apologize for the intrusion. The other visitor, was he a young boy, entirely too comfortable?
Coppelius smiled.
Would you like a cup of tea, my darling?
The doctor led her to a room where 2 robots sat, eyeing each other with suspicion. Della understood immediately what had captured Christopher's attention. Theo turned, noticing Della.
Another guest, Father? Will this one be staying for more than 10 minutes?
My brother, where did he go?
Della pleaded.
You'll excuse the blue one.
Coppelius interjected.
She forgets her place. I used to have a daughter just like that. Your brother is an admirer of my work. He's currently aiding in my research. I'm afraid he won't be available for some time.
Your work?
Della realized the red robot was particularly scary. Suddenly, he looked at her.
Are you willing to play a game of chess?
He asked. Della jumped back in alarm.
No, thank you. I'm here only for Christopher. And besides, I don't play for fun.
This interested Coppelius greatly.
Surely the young lady doesn't think she can match wits with the great mechanical philosopher.
Man or woman, I have yet to encounter a worthy opponent.
I propose a match.
Coppelius said.
Mephisto the Great versus the female savant.
I want Christopher. I'm not playing a game to stroke your massive ego.
Della was losing her patience as well as her manners.
Mephisto cannot be defeated. He has a perfectly programmed intellect. Since you're so sure of yourself, I'll make a bet with you. Beat my man and I'll give you back your boy.
Della saw her first chance at progress.
Fine. Let's get this over with.
Half an hour later, Coppelius barely watched from the far side of the room, certain of his creation. Della played masterfully, processing every possibility from every angle. Sliding her knight confidently across the board, she asked.
How long must we keep up this facade?
Coppelius was confounded.
How could you know?
I was referring to the game, sir.
Della's manners returned with her certainty. The only decent move Mephisto could make was to take the piece she had just advanced, which would put him in a ruinous position.
I resign,
Said the automaton, matter-of-factly. He offered a sporting handshake. Della spoke as she accepted the gesture.
I know it's you, Christopher. I taught my brother this game. I know his style as surely as I know his handwriting, and while he is an accomplished player, he has yet to beat me. Now then, how do we go about getting Christopher out of that thing? Is that some sort of suit?
The doctor snorted.
I was lied to. Your brother swore he'd never been defeated.
I don't know what you're going on about. I won fair and square. And are you really that surprised that a child exaggerated?
Unacceptable. I cannot abide a world of such chaos. People must live up to their promises.
Before Della could respond, the red robot returned, guiding Christopher into the room. The boy's gaze was vacant, his movements uncontrolled. Della felt her stomach drop.
What are you doing?
Coppelius demanded.
I am returning him to his sister, as were the terms. We cannot abide a world of chaos. People must live up to their promises.
Mephisto locked eyes with Christopher and unhinged his jaw. A swirl of purple phantasm poured out of the robot and into the boy. As the red figure slumped to the floor, Christopher blinked back into consciousness.
That was crazy! Was I inside that robot?
Since her brother was fine, Della turned to the doctor, who was managing to look murderous and nauseous at the same time.
What will happen to the blue girl?
Coppelius growled.
She is nothing to me now. I will scrap her for parts.
Della turned to her.
Theo, would you like to come with us? I assure you, none of us would ever dismantle a family member, or even a friend or acquaintance.
Theo was ecstatic.
I would love to come with you. I have always wanted a family.
Faced with 3 adversaries, the mad scientist had no choice. He allowed them to walk away. This proved to be a most ingenious solution. Theo was accepted for who she was, and never again did she break a window with her cries of misery. She even learned to dance beautifully. Della had a new sister to lean on, and this allowed her to work on achieving her own dreams while ensuring her brother wanted for nothing.
Meow,
said Behemoth. Christopher had a newfound respect for his sister. He had Theo now too, and he vowed that one day, when he was a world-famous scientist and engineer, he would always consider the feelings of his creations and not treat anything sentient as an object. This was really just the beginning of their story, for they grew to be very old and lived happily all the days of their lives.
I'm not made of stone, graphite will do. Choose me to write down changes in the scenery. Then leave me the note, I'll have an idea what's on your mind. Changes in the scenery. Don't you think there comes a time